Yeah, I mean, no offense, but I have bigger tits.
You do.
Yeah. Welcome to the On the Edge podcast with your host, Scott Groves. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Scott Groves with the On the Edge podcast. First of all, this is not going to be a safe for work, child-friendly. If you are easily offended or sensitive, just sign off now before the bad language starts. I've got my two new friends here, Kortney and Francesca. And for those of you not watching on YouTube, it's very rare that I'm with a woman that I am intimidated by as far as like, oh, this chick could beat my ass. But both of these ladies, black belt in judo, badass in jiu-jitsu, both power lifters. Both of you have larger biceps and thighs than I do. It's really, this is really insulting to me as a man. I'm feeling totally emasculated. And then they said, and then they,
shame on you.
and then they both said, I said, well, if I ask anything inappropriate, just please don't punch me. They're like, no problem. We'll just kick you in the dick. And I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be a wild one. So I'm gonna cue this up, Chris, and you're gonna have to interject the clip. I came to know both these ladies because I had kind of seen them in my periphery at like open mat doing jiu-jitsu, but then famously they had a slap match where you two knocked the fuck out of each other, and we're gonna go to that clip right now on the podcast. You need to watch this on YouTube. Just if you're listening, go to YouTube, Google Kortney versus Francesca on the slap fight, and I will let you guys tell the story. So how did you get into this slap fight, and who knocked who out?
Oh my gosh.
All right, so go.
We were both recruited.
Yes, but I didn't know that she's going, you know?
Uh-huh.
So, I got a mail if I want to try out the power slap, and I was like, why not? I'm here in the United States, and I'm down for everything, you know?
You were really down for everything because you do professional wrestling and judo and jiu-jitsu and slap boxing and power. You're just a freak of nature athletically.
Yeah.
She's psychotic.
Yes.
She's from the part of Hungary where they eat the whole animal. Baling hay from the age of 3.
I like to keep my body busy so my brain, I don't overthink, you know, because then I'm getting really dangerous.
Yeah.
Cover your balls.
Right? Whoa, this podcast got way more dangerous.
So
okay.
I was like, I definitely want to do this power slap thing, and I think Kortney got.
So power slap.
There were 7. It turned out to be 7 women, and like we didn't think they were going to pair us together because we knew each other. We were friends.
Yeah.
And there was one girl, Josette. She was like 2'10", 6 feet tall, missing a tooth, professional boxer, you know, hair braided, butch as fuck. And I was like, oh no, nope, no ma'am, no ma'am. But we still didn't know, you know, how it was going to shake out. And then there were like 2 other pretty small girls, and then like one MMA girl. I thought they were going to pair her with you, and I was going to be stuck with Big Mama boxing one's missing a tooth. And
so for people that don't know, can you explain what slap fighting is?
You could explain it better because you're the assistant coach.
Oh, so we just have to face, and the main point is about you have to let your opponent to slap you. And the question is, if you can't take it, then you get a chance to. So
this is open hand slap. You just stand there.
Yes.
And somebody hits you as hard as they can.
Behind you, and you have to wait for it. You know.
Yeah, they were wild making up the rules though, like the weekend before.
There's something like, to me, there's something kind of like neurotic and crazy about seeing guys do this. But then when I see girls do it, I'm like, why? Why? You're such pretty girls. Like, why would you want somebody to slap you that? Like, haven't we spent like 100 years working on feminism?
If you just were pretty girls, we would be average.
Okay, so you guys volunteer for it. Did you get paid for it? Or was it like just to make meme-worthy content?
No, we got paid.
Okay, so you got paid.
But we both did it because we were like, what if we're really good at it?
I would like to get slapped for free, too.
I told you. Telling you.
No, I'm teasing you, man.
I don't think so. I don't think you're teasing me at all. I think maybe in the privacy.
After Kortney slapped me, I realized actually I like it.
I saw, and that's what the thing was, right? Because I told her the night before, I was like, "Listen, bitch, let's go like 50%. Like you pro wrestling,
what is 50%?
Right?" And I'm like, "Let's just lean into this shit." Because once you start seeing the cotton balls come out, it gets real, and you're like,
explain the cotton balls.
So they put cotton balls in your ear so you don't,
like
blow
break
up your
eardrum.
Yeah, blow up your eardrum. to keep the sound vibration in. And it's like, oh, this just got real. And so she's on her crazy ass fucking Hungarian voice. I hope my adrenaline doesn't kick in. And I'm like, yeah, me too, bitch. And so I won the coin toss, and I was like, all right, because then I'd injured Sheena and I both do a ton of stuff: arm wrestling. We pick dudes up and carry them around.
Yeah.
Like we injure ourselves a lot, and I injured my right arm wrestling 2 weeks prior. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna hit you with my left. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, I saw the fucking blinds go down in her eyes, and I was
That's
like,
what I have no control over.
yeah.
Yeah.
She
That's
could tell
something
you
Like you
about
see
it.
red, you go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget that I am facing her
Yeah.
that time.
Oh, you forgot? You don't remember it?
No, when I get slapped, it's something I get like, I don't know, like the surviving mood.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it was a trigger for
The
me.
lizard brain just comes out.
It was
Fuck
it was a trigger from my back to past. You know, I have some bad experiences.
She's got some daddy issues, hey.
Got it.
That made her a fucking bad bitch.
Ex-boyfriends mostly, and
Yeah.
I was surrounded with narcissist people.
I would be so scared to abuse you if I was your boyfriend
That
because
would be the worst day of your
I'm
life.
pretty sure you would just snap my neck. So is that why you're so big?
You
Take
wanna
care of yourself?
try it? You
No,
wanna be my
no.
boyfriend for a day?
I don't know. Sure don't.
Do you offer the girlfriend experience?
Yeah. Not only am I happily married, love you, Karina.
Love you, Karina.
But yeah, you're too strong for me. You're too strong. So okay, so you decided to go first, and I'm guessing you said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna use my right hand" because I just saw this lady turn into a killer.
No. I went first, hit her with my left, and then I
Okay.
saw the blinds go down. And she is like you said, world champion in judo.
Yeah.
So I was the night before, slightly dicking around, hitting a pool noodle because I reached out to this guy named the Crazy Hawaiian something or another. He was in another slap fighting league, and he said, "Yeah, I get a pool noodle," because I'm like, "How the fuck do you train for this shit?" You know what I'm saying? Like what? And I was stressed out because I'm like, you can't move your feet, and hitting directly on the face and whatever. And so I I was like, all right, I'll go first. Hit her with my left, and like I said, as soon as I saw that shit, I was like, it's game over.
When you hit her, she kind of turned into the Terminator. Like you could see her face come back and snap, and she's like, "I'm gonna kill you now." Bitch.
Oh yeah, and the slow mo was like it like her face was just like, "Oh, you fucking cunt!" Like you could tell. I'm like, "Yep, cool, here it comes." And I even went like this. All right, let's get this over with.
Yeah.
I like stuck my neck out. I'm like, fuck it. And then I had spent all of January and February not sleeping because I'm in perimenopause. And no,
the fuck is perimenopause?
Right. Thank you. Right. Ask your wife.
Okay.
Perimenopause is a phase of women's life. Like we all hear about our first period, but we're not taught about our last period. And it can happen for up to 10 years for women. And it's when your estrogen spikes and drops. And so for me, I didn't have enough progesterone, which is like a man's testosterone. It's like our feel good hormone, which helps us sleep, our everything. And no hormone replacement therapy clinic for 2 years could fucking figure it out. So I'd go through these cycles where I wouldn't sleep. And I mean, I was just a shell of a woman. Like it was, it's like when you don't sleep, right? The whole acronym, hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Yeah.
When I'm tired, forget about it. Like that's all bad. So anyway.
And you had also the business. Also,
just stress.
like everything.
Yeah.
Broke. Everything
Everything
came
was-
together.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's darkest before the dawn. And so anyway, and I, she I saw her fucking dip down. And I'm like, dear God, Christ save me. And it was funny because it hit, and the only thing I knew next was I was sitting on the floor, and I was like, oh, you motherfucker. And so then it was like I felt what you felt, and I'm like, it's on, bitch. I'm like, all right, bitch. Here we go. As soon as I stood up, it was lights out, and then I passed out. Yeah, and then I did that fucking forward roll. So I went from like being the woman with the world's deadliest thighs, thanks Stan Lee, to Sonic the Hedgehog. That's
Hey, this quick interruption is brought to you by me, Scott Groves, the host of the On the Edge podcast. This podcast is brought to you by me. I'm a loan officer who can help you with a mortgage in all 50 states across the United States. I also coach loan officers. So if you are a home buyer who's looking to get a mortgage, if you're a realtor who's looking to partner with an awesome loan officer, or if you're a loan officer looking for coaching, get in touch with me. it's those sources of revenue that allow us to produce this podcast and get out a new episode to you every week for the last couple years. So if you're looking for a mortgage, if you're looking for a mortgage lender to partner with, or you're looking for a mortgage coach, I'm your guy. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
But you know what is funny?
Had you ever knocked anybody out before? Because I know you do judo and jiu-jitsu, but you don't box or anything. Have you ever knocked a human being out?
It depends which kind of knockout you're talking about.
Not like choke, but like have you ever punched somebody and had them go unconscious?
I hit once my ex-boyfriend. He said I dislocated his jawline, but that was it. He didn't get knocked out.
Show that gun one more time. You dislocated his jawline? Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense how strong you are. Okay, so she hit you harder than any woman has ever hit another woman in the history of women hits, because I saw the video and I felt
She hit in the right spot though. Like you got fingertips right on. She hit right in the carotid artery. Like you hit the knockout goodnight button, and she's a different caliber of athlete.
Right.
She's full stop. I don't know if it's the Hungarian, if it's the Olympic father, if it's the Balin Hay from the age of 3. There's something.
Something is in my DNA.
Yeah.
Sure, I would say.
What did your dad do in the Olympics?
He was 5th place in the Olympic Games.
In
but
what?
you know, he
in what
survived
sport?
in judo.
Oh, in judo.
He was my trainer. Yeah,
Oh.
European silver, bronze medal. His brother. So I was literally grew up in a judo family, a traditional judo family. You know? So our mindset is different. The way we were raised. My dad is very old school. He was born in 1948. So that time, you know, was really hard time in Hungary when Russian attacked us.
Yeah.
And he went through on a lot. And he was raising us like any day can be war. You know? So we have to be ready.
Right.
We have to be grateful for everything we have. And we have to earn it. We weren't spoiled. Like we weren't spoiled. We sometimes we had no food to eat and something, you know, but he always solved, he always fixed. So that's why I don't really have like those kind of needs like luxury and stuff, but because Dad, his love language was about to be proud of me if I achieve something. That's my desire to always pick some big goals, because if I know if I achieve it, I may get some love.
Yeah.
You know, that's my love language. That I'm only worth if I get success.
Yeah. Can you explain to people that aren't into combat sports or they don't understand the different disciplines, what specifically is judo?
Judo is more about you mean like what's the rule?
Yeah, like what is the practice?
It's
about the throw. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, let's say 70%. Ooh.
Whoa.
Fuck, I'm not that heavy.
Hey Chris, can you come
Can you
fix the bottom of the chair? We just cracked it here. Let's fix this one.
Told you I'm gonna die today.
The chair, like, I think you have to push it in so that it doesn't pop out. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Usually I'm using guy's face as my throne. You know, my human sofa. I didn't get used to this.
All right, so judo is all about the throw.
I'm gonna need that clip.
Yeah. So judo is all about the throw. You're throwing people.
Yes, and we get like maximum 10 seconds on the ground from the first action. You have to make a submission hold, not like in jiu-jitsu, like you get time,
right?
20 minutes or what the fuck, you know? It's like, I don't know why they are waiting for something. They don't even attack something.
Yeah.
Just put me in guard. I'm like waiting. I'm like, dude, it's not like that, you know?
Right.
You're a fighter. You have to attack.
You trying to fuck me or like, what's going on
Judo
here?
is forced.
Yeah.
You have to attack. Go, go, go. If you're not attack, you are passive and you get penalty for that. After like 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah, when you watch judo in the Olympics, if you don't know what you're if you don't know what you're watching, there's like these weird grip things, and they're all
we're reaching for the right grip,
they're all,
we can
and then all of a sudden it's like boom, this motherfucker just gets launched.
Because at the same time you're gonna feel the rhythm, how their body are. You know, it's all about through the grip. While you're reaching the grip, you're feeling their body, their step, whatever. So it's everything. It's connected from toes to top hat. You know. And you have to feel the others too. It's beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
I really love this sport.
Yeah, I enjoy watching it. I don't know the first thing of it, but I remember I was at a jiu-jitsu class where one of the guys was a white belt and he was a judo black belt and he was just launching fuckers. I'm like, white belt my ass, dude. I'm not going with you. And he's like, yeah, I have a little bit of judo experience. I'm like, how much? He's like, oh, like 13 years. I'm a black belt. I was like, oh, you sandbagging motherfucker.
Judo fighters are humble.
Yeah. He was actually very humble, I'm sure. But it was weird because like,
motherfucker.
he showed me some things where it's just these little shifts of the toes, right? Like you just barely change your foot position and all of a sudden they're getting launched over your hip. And it didn't even make sense to me. Like I couldn't conceptualize
because you have
how
to
such
build
little
up
movements.
the grip and everything till you're gonna get the throw. It's a long way. There's so many movements was built on the other till you're gonna get this, because if you grip here, you know that he or she gonna grip this way and then you're gonna get that, but he going to step here or move here, and then you are maybe ready for the throw, but if you're gonna throw, he may do the contra technique on that way and I'm gonna finish him in that way. And you know already from the beginning what you're going to do. So you finish on that way with all his reactions.
I'll just do jiu-jitsu
I'll
just on jiu-jitsu I can just lay on him. I can just be fat. Like that's
Smash and pass,
if
baby.
I get to the top position, I just lay there and I'm like, all right, now I can think. So that's way too technical for me. But is that how you grew up, judo all the time? Like what other sports did you play?
So when I turned to 20, I was like, judo is getting like really intense and too much. I didn't want to get burned out. So I started joining some freestyle wrestling too, because I just love martial arts. I love fighting. I love the body contact. I love to feel the others. I like to sweat together, like training hard and everything. So I started doing some wrestling and I really liked it. And I was like, oh, I could be good in that. But I started too late because I'm not really good to protect my legs. I'm getting better now, but not like world level class.
Right.
I won a national championship and few, like every year I get placed, but I also won once.
Wait, you won a national championship in freestyle wrestling and you didn't start till you were 20?
Yes, when I started in 20. Judo is a very good basement.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I know some kids that were wrestling because I was an average wrestler in high school.
Hungary is good in wrestling. We have so many Olympic
You like the
champions.
Iranians, like you just everybody breathes
and
fighting.
on the final, I always was going against a world champion girl.
From Iran, probably, right? I'm telling you, man, the Iranians.
But when I
wrestle
won, she was in different category. That's why I was able to win.
Perfect. So, Kortney, what about you? What's your sports background other than breaking watermelons with your thighs, which you should tell everybody what that's about? But what was your athletic pedigree?
Oh, everything. I was just a tomboy. Which we're losing all of our tomboys, and it feels like now, but that's another story. But yeah, I grew up skiing, basketball, cheerleading, if you can believe that one, and then I got into arm wrestling.
You were the base, right?
That's exactly right.
So you were competing in arm wrestling?
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I mean, I'm Australia's first female champion, but that's only because there was like 4 women there. And
so wait, are you Australian?
No, I'm from Eureka, California.
Okay.
Bumfuck Egypt. Can we say that anymore?
Yeah, totally.
Whatever.
Bumfuck
Egypt.
Fine. Yeah. The Egyptians have a weaker military than us. I feel like we can make fun of it. We basically just can't make fun of the Russians or the Chinese because their military actually can fight back. But so what were you doing in Australia?
That's where I met my husband.
Okay.
And so
are people shocked when they find out you have a husband?
Yes, they are. Everybody thinks I'm gay.
Yeah, of course. Because you have the hipster tattoos. Yeah. You're super buff. You have a short haircut. Like I would also assume.
We can tell them.
Yeah.
Francesca can change you. She can turn you. That's like
I'm not going to hide you no more. Understand? Bring us together, right?
All right, so I have to ask, is your husband like a power lifter, big motherfucker as well? Or are you married to like a 140-pound accountant?
He was when I met him. He was a shell of a man. He actually played for Hull City. He played soccer. He played a few games. He sat the bench for most of the time. But yeah, when I met him, he was, your typical English pub crawling, sports watching, but I got him into the gym and now he's obsessed with it.
How exactly do you fall for a, potbelly, pub crawling ex-soccer player? Like I I picture you like you've got to be with like a Schwarzenegger type looking dude.
Yeah,
No?
it's all about the energy. It's like with women. Like I am attracted to women. I'd say 20% out of 80%. But she's got to have the personality. It's got to have the energy. You know?
Right.
So same with guys. It's like if the energy's there, it doesn't matter necessarily what they look like. And he was remarkable. It's a crazy love story.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So you grow up playing a bunch of myriad of sports. You did pro arm wrestling, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But then you start crushing watermelons with your thighs.
Yes. So we're in this amazing industry. I mean, I don't actually know when she started. I'm like 10 years older than Sheena, and I think I started in 2009.
And by the way, for the people that don't know, Francesca's pro wrestling name is Sheena.
Sheena.
And you do pro wrestling as well, right?
Very little.
Okay.
Very little. So I've dabbled in it.
Okay.
It's hard.
So 10 years ago when you were powerlifting.
Yeah. So I stumbled into this world where I saw an ad on Craigslist and it said muscular calf video shoot. Ballerinas and athletes must apply. It was like $100 an hour. Because at the time I was doing like topless photography because I was strung out on pain pills, and I was an internet sales manager at a car dealership, and I hated my job.
Wait. So powerlifting, internet sales manager, strung out on pills.
Yes.
Doing topless titty shoots for money.
Yeah, and clearly,
like,
I mean, you have the tits for it, so.
Yeah, I mean, no offense, but I have bigger tits.
You
than
do?
Yeah. Did you used to have fake tits? Is that?
No, not even then. It was
people wanted to see the masculine.
I guess.
Itty bitty titty committee.
Yeah, there's a whole market for it. There's something for any women listening. Whatever you hate about your body, there's some dude out there paying for it on the internet.
Oh, for sure. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's probably some girl calling right now.
No, that's my old man alarm to take my vitamins. Like that's, go take your pills, Scott, and go to bed.
Relatable.
Yeah. My wife's like, I'm gonna be in Mexico for a week. Should I set an alarm for your nighttime pills? I'm like,
my God.
I love her.
She's the best. My wife is the best.
That's
by the way.
awesome. We got leggings for her.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so you go to be a calf model, and by the way, this is so crazy. The strung out on pills, does that come from being a power lifter, or were you just a drug addict, or what was that?
I was bodybuilding, so I hadn't really gotten into powerlifting, and I still don't call myself a power lifter. I mean, I do.
Okay, bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I kind of use the term
Same
interchangeably because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
We're like, it shows.
Yeah. It's
No.
like you're buff. I don't know. What's the legal term?
Right?
And by the way, what kind of fucked up disease are you gonna give us? I know you've been on antibiotics for a week, and you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna make the podcast. I'm so sick. Do you have like COVID-21 and we're all gonna die on Monday?
She's got pneumonia.
I already get like 5 times and they survive.
Okay, perfect. But are you okay?
What
you feeling
is my
okay?
sickness?
She has pneumonia.
Okay, pneumonia.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how to
Yeah. lay off the crack, man. Lay off.
I sound like I have emphysema, but that's from I swear it's from the shot. But
Okay.
Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast.
All right. So anyway, so you go to this calf model thing.
calf video shoot, and that's
Calf,
where
like
calf
calf?
muscles. Yeah, it was Rick Dobbins.
Wow.
Yeah, and he introduced me to this whole world, and I'm like, his wife was a pro bodybuilder, and so I went to his house, and he was filming me like reaching up in his wife's closet, getting out like her purses, and he's filming my calf muscles, and I'm like, okay. And then he put the camera on a tripod and was showing me how to choke them out with my legs, which is called scissoring. Not like two girls scissoring, but like in our world, you scissor someone's head, their neck, to see how much pressure they can take. It's a whole ass thing. And then there's body scissors, and we crush ribs. And anyway.
So wait, you do this because it's photo material? Because guys pay you?
Yes. So this is what
Wait, whoa. Guys pay money to have you choke them out with your thighs.
100%.
And you're buff as fuck. And
Yeah.
both of you are good looking for the size that you are. Like maybe not my style because I like, skinny Hispanic chicks. But
yeah, it's a whole thing. It's
guys
a whole
do this?
thing. Yeah.
But for them, is it how do I ask this? Fuck it. Is
Yeah.
it a sexual thing, or is it a domination
For them,
thing?
yes.
It's
Yeah.
a sexual thing for them.
It's both. It's
Okay.
both. And like
Yes.
our experience.
I love dominating guys since I was a kid.
Shocking.
I just
Yeah, I know, right?
I just start to remember in my childhood memories, even in school it started, before school already started,
Yeah.
And they always tease me, They had the sense that I am I get the type, you know,
Right.
to give them a good lesson.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is, like, even on your OnlyFans, because you both have OnlyFans, we'll put links there. Even on your OnlyFans, you don't do nudes, so there's nothing sexual about it for you. But these guys just pay to get choked out knowing that they're not going to have
Because
sex
it's
with you.
important
Or
for them by who they get it.
yeah.
They feel it if the woman really enjoying it to hurt guy. Because it's so in this business, you can't be popular or well booked because you just over promote yourself. They choose you
Yeah.
if they feel that you have a natural sense to really enjoying and dominating guys, you know.
I
They are
never,
like-
I never want to be between a girl's legs if I'm not going to have sex with her. Like that's so uninteresting to me.
It's such
That's
a
a different level.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much on the spectrum because you get girls that are wrestlers and you get girls that are bodybuilders, and some are just into biceps, some are into calf muscles, some are like just they want to feel your muscles and that's it. And then some want to get picked up and carried around. They want to feel your strength. So it's like a demonstration of strength. And it's so fascinating because there's no like tie to the socioeconomical background, job, location, because it's all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, you do find men in the Middle East are really into lift and carry, which is a trip. But, you know, arm wrestling.
Whoa, okay, so hold on. So men in the Middle
But
East.
look, you doing jitsu, right?
Yeah.
So you can spar with girls. It's
Yeah.
normal for you.
Yeah,
But there are
totally
so
normal.
many businessmen who's like what is that called? They controlling 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And always they do anything. They are the head of it, and they just wanna have at least 1 hour when they get dominated by a strong, powerful woman.
Yeah.
You know, and they are not joining the gym to feel the strength, so they
Right.
gotta pay for it.
Yeah. I have a weird sense with women in jiu-jitsu. Like, I have no problem. We both know Amanda, the one that does the stretching and stuff. She's great. We roll, we go hard. I actually like it more sometimes because I don't try to like use my strength and my weight. I actually work on my technique. But I also will say anything. So there's like one girl in the gym where I know her boyfriend. We roll in the morning. I've rolled with her at night. And I just like, because I fucking stick my foot in the mouth all the time. And I was like, oh, you know, so-and-so, your boyfriend, like, oh, those are your kids or stepkids? And she's like, yeah, they're my stepkids. I'm like, yeah, I could kind of tell your body wouldn't look like that if you had 2 kids. And she was like looking at me like, oh, creeper, you're like following me on Instagram, looking at my body. Like, I could see that in her eyes. And I'm like, I didn't really mean it like that. Like, I would make fun of a guy too.
But isn't that funny? She might have been thinking like, oh shit, like he recognizes that my body looks great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but now it's weird. Like, there's like a creepy vibe. Like, she thinks I'm like a stalker. So I'm like, oh man,
That
like,
shit's probably in your head.
maybe because like I just say shit to girls the way that I would say things to guys.
And
because
we
like,
appreciate that.
okay, cool.
For
'cause
real.
I'm happily married. I can give a
Yeah.
shit less. Like,
Yeah,
to,
Right,
to me,
right.
it's like making fun of some dude's dick. Like, who cares? Like, you know, that's just what guys do, right?
That's another thing we get paid for sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Rate their dicks. They sending dick pictures, and I'm like, well, whatever.
Yeah, the
Like,
humiliation.
My micro penis. What can I do?
Right.
You know, like,
Do they pay you to make fun of their micro penis? Yeah.
Or just or be like, oh, you got beat by a girl. And the interesting thing,
like,
too.
let me see this picture. Oh, did you shave your pussy today?
She's so good at shit talking. I'm not.
Yeah.
She's way more alpha than I am.
Right.
Like, I'm competitive. But what I've noticed with this industry, and I'm 10 years older than Sheena, so I've been around the block a while, but I have, in doing this, realized that as men, and I wrote about this the other day, like, I feel for men. And when I started out in this, I considered myself more of a men's right activist because I would sit and ask questions because I'd be like, how the fuck are you an accountant? And like, this is a chapter 9 in my book. I think it's called Busting My Balls. And this guy showed up to his session and he was this good looking Puerto Rican, short little accountant. And he shows up with this giant ass contraption that he built from like fucking Home Depot. It was like these planter things with like wooden, plywood on it. And then these doors folded in and like a little lock went across it. And he put his balls through the thing, like he cut out. And I'm like, the edges weren't even smooth. And I'm like, how did you get into this? Like, by day, you're like this hot, attractive accountant. Like, why do you need to come in? And he told me, like, for most of these men, it was something that happened when they were younger, whether they childhood, whether they got, harassed by their babysitter, or there was a girl that beat them in track, or it was the WWE, Charlie's Angels, comic books,
Right.
some, who was the wrestler that died? China.
Yeah.
Or, you know, so there was some strong, powerful, alpha-looking type female that they connected to. And, you know, they are just taken.
It gets stuck in their brain.
Yeah.
There's
they
something.
can't ignore it.
Yeah.
They can't,
There's
and it's getting
something.
stronger by age.
Yeah,
Wow.
that too. But that, you know, I'm like, how did you get into this? And he said he was like maybe 5 or 6 and he was with his parents walking and a car drove over a soda can that was tumbling in the street and it just crushed it. Because this whole like crushing thing, like men, you all are a real interesting species. Like we're like, hey, let's have a glass of wine and cuddle and whatever, even though I can't drink because I get naked and punch people. But men, you know, you're like, here, let me act like an ashtray and put a cigarette out on my forehead. That'll really get me off. Like, what the fuck? You guys, your brains are just different.
Just fucked up.
It is. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's cool and y'all are fascinating and I love that. But I feel for you because the minute, you know, you guys are born, even if you aren't, you know, a dominant person in your day-to-day life, as men, if you step outside of this box right here, you know, you're a bitch, you're a pussy, you can't cry, you can't show emotion, you're the rock, you're the breadwinner, you're the fucking dependable one. And if my husband came home and was like, it's such a bad day, my boss yelled at me, and he's like crying in my arms, I'd be like, okay, honey. I'm like,
Yeah, where's the divorce paper?
yeah, get your fucking shit together, dog.
Right.
You know, and even though I love him and I care about him, but my subliminal subconscious programming is like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, don't be a pussy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's like, where do we find that balance between allowing men to be vulnerable and to actually process that shit? And then like now in today's age, it's come full circle because it's like, if you're a cis white man, you're the fucking enemy.
Right.
You know, and it's like we've lumped everybody into these categories and it's hectic. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, in our experience, it's generally guys just want to come and turn over their power because we're not dominatrix. You know, we don't put on fucking.
I was just going to ask that. Are
Yeah,
you
the-
like.
the
you guys
difference
aren't
is-
I like
whipping her?
sometimes whipping.
I don't.
I love that she's like, I'm not a dominatrix. I
don't
just
like
like
to
to whip
hurt
men
people.
sometimes.
And I like wearing latex. It's good. I like.
But
Yeah.
you see what I'm
Dress
saying?
up.
She's like, you guys, there are pro doms out there who are like 90 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, I'm like, that's like another level of mental role play that I can't step into. Whereas with us, it is,
Physical.
yeah, it's physical,
Physical.
true power and grit.
But I like trash talk too. I like being intimidated, you know?
But like you're, you know, the men that you've dated or your husband, how do they feel about the fact that like some dude's in between your thighs and you're crushing them for like sexual pleasure? Like,
Yeah.
like I trust my wife implicitly.
Yeah.
If I found out that shit, we'd be fucking divorced. I'll be
Right.
like, oh yeah, sure. There's nothing weird going on that some dude's in between your legs and you're just like crushing him with your thighs.
Yeah.
Like, your husband must be the most confident motherfucker in the
he
world.
Is. He really is. But that's how we met. So
But
we
if
met wrestling.
He loves her the way she loves doing that.
Yeah.
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 You know?
And
Wait,
there
you
is-
guys met wrestling?
Yeah, so he flew me out to Australia, my ex at the time and myself, and he followed my blog, and he was just a big fan of mine. Like, I used to have a membership site before OnlyFans was a thing. I'm like,
Right.
we like OGs up in this motherfucker. We've been doing this shit for decades. And he wanted to meet me, and it was bizarre because we met, and it was like love at first sight for him. It was adorable. We met from opposite ends of the earth, and then, you know, all we did was sat and talked for like an hour and a half, and then we kind of played around on the bed a bit wrestling. I beat him arm wrestling, and he literally just told me 2 years ago, we've been married for 12 years, he's like, I let you win. And I'm like, no, the fuck you didn't. And now I don't know what's true and what's not, because
Yeah.
now he's way stronger than me,
Right.
and it pisses me off.
So
Fucking
hold
makes
on.
me mad.
Can we circle back? He flew you and your boyfriend out
Mm-hmm.
to Australia, and then your boyfriend went and had lunch while you
Yeah,
wrestled a guy in his bed.
He painted trains, yeah. And he was not comfortable with it.
Your boyfriend at the
Yeah,
time.
my ex at the time. He
Yeah.
was, you know, and for a good, like I said, I have a lot of respect for people who are swingers or in open relationships because I just couldn't do it. You know
What's
what I
crazy
mean?
is this is so far outside of my wheelhouse. Like, this sounds like a swinger relationship to me,
Yeah,
even though there's no
sex.
Yeah.
So it's like it's so out of my wheelhouse. I'm just like blown away, and I didn't think this was at all where the conversation. I thought we were going to talk about fucking lifting weights and shit. So this is so much better.
Yeah.
But what about you? Have you found it hard to be in like a normal relationship due to the stuff that you
Yeah,
do?
It just doesn't work out.
Doesn't work for you.
In my age, no. I feel men going to be really mature and more understanding over 45, 50.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because he's 55.
You need an old rich man.
The guys need experiences. They have to put their ego down. They start to realize they can keep a woman only if they let them, you know, like flying, whatever they want to do. If they try to control, especially a dominant woman, that's
Never gonna work out.
That's a instant breakup.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Who the fuck's gonna control you?
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean,
no one.
They can try. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to work. But you know, I bring her up again because we've become friends, and she babysits our kids sometimes. I was talking to Amanda, and she's like, "Yeah, it's really hard for me to be in a relationship because just doing jujitsu." Most guys that don't do jujitsu, they don't understand why I have this passion to go roll with other sweaty dudes 3 hours a day. And she's like, you know, imagine a guy walking into our gym and seeing a bunch of guys like Andy Varela, just shredded, good looking. Most guys aren't going to be confident enough to have their girlfriend hanging out at that gym 6 days a week.
I think those people still have this warrior instinct, or how it's called. Like
yeah, your instincts.
Instincts, you know, because nowadays we live in a very spoiled world. This was normal, like long ago, that even women did hard physical work, and I think these people who like really
they're
enjoy
insecure.
No, like they have a warrior sense or something like it's still sparkling inside them.
Yeah,
you know, the rest of the people, guys, I don't know where are the men's, or all of them dead in the war. I don't know, like you know, it's really to compare me how strong I am in mind and physically. It's very hard to find.
Yeah, it's funny because I born and raised in Los Angeles, very liberal, very progressive. I have a lot of male gay realtors that work with me, and I have a lot of strong females. And sure enough, I've had this phone call happen 3 times, and all 3 women don't use me for business anymore because they'll call me and they'll be like, "Hey Scott, what's going on?" I'm like, you know, not much. What's going on? They're like, "Hey, this isn't a business call." And I'm like, "Okay." They're like, yeah, I'm kind of sick of the pansy, unemployed man bun writing his screenplay. Like, you're kind of a man's man. Like, you box and you shoot gun. Where are like the men? And I'm like, yeah, you've castrated them all. Like third wave feminism fucked up all the guys. Like, you've made them not men, you know? And then I tell them, I'm like, yeah, good luck, bro. Go, you got to move out of Los Angeles to find like a man's man. And they're like, yeah, man, I'm kind of sick of dating these pansies that live off their parents and they sit at Starbucks all day and they just write screenplays and they're never going to make it, or they're a struggling artist. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you've made men feel bad
Europe
about
is not that terrible yet.
It's not that terrible?
No.
I picture
For
Europe
example,
as worse.
Russia. Look, Russians.
Oh, yeah.
Khabib.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the Dagestanis, they're going to take over the world in all athletic endeavors.
They are still men. I can smell the testosterone in them. You're like, oh, I finally feel something.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what the answer is because, like, I want men to be men and also be able to be like, cool, if you're a super successful chick, great, you go do you. But I think we've just castrated a lot of men in America. We've made them feel like they need to be bitches.
They never be a man if they could get castrated.
Right. I mean, not actually castrated.
I know.
Like, figure.
Of course, I understand. But
although we're starting to do that
there are no
too.
men who let themselves to be castrated.
Yeah. So, okay. So neither of you consider yourself a dominatrix, but you squeeze humans and lemon and watermelons between your legs and crush them for money, and you whip people and wear latex sometimes for money. So how does this work? How do you find these clients? Like, somebody signs up for your $19 a month OnlyFans and like starts building a relationship, and then they're like, "Hey, for $1,500, I'd really like you to choke me out with your thighs."
No, I have a website.
Oh, what's the website?
SheenaWrestler.com.
Okay, we're going to put that, SheenaWrestling.com?
SheenaWrestler.com.
SheenaWrestler.com. Okay, we're going to get all their social media, Chris, before they go. But how has that worked for you? Like, how do people find you for this?
There's a couple of central websites that are out there. It's still very low, you know.
If
low
they
ground.
they're going to find it.
They're going to know where it is.
They'll find it.
They know where it is.
They'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's like some off the grid fetish clubs in Vegas that I've heard of. I've not been to, of course, but like the
we're probably working at one tomorrow night.
Yes,
you know stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about that offline. I've heard about a couple places where I'm like, oh, that shit really exists.
Actually, you're familiar for me. Didn't you book me like 2 years ago?
It all comes out. It all comes out.
Now it all makes sense.
It's not the Templar.
Yeah, luckily my wife doesn't watch the podcast.
I'm kidding.
So.
I'm kidding, wifey. I never saw it. What's your name?
Although I think couples is like a new market for me because I did this for like 4 years and then took 6 years off because I started working with teenagers and then built girl clothing. And then I got back into it because I wasn't taking a paycheck from girl.
Yeah.
And
hey, tell us about Girl Power, by the way. Girl clothing.
Yeah, it's a
GRRL.
3 R's.
3 R's.
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah. Ooh, you said that right. You could be a voiceover actor. It's athletic. I hate clothing. It's not my thing, but we make athletic apparel for women for all sizes. So we go all the way up to like the equivalent of a 7X down to an XS, and we use athletes' names and body types because women are generally, want to be smaller. And growing up, I wanted to be Kate Moss. I wanted to have a thigh gap. And I was
you're never going to look like Kate Moss.
My fucking forearm is the size of her leg. But it was the late 80s, early 90s, and that's what I equated. I mean, ultimately, it was from growing up with an alcoholic parent, right? That's where the root is. But what the surface level was me trying to control my body and thinking that was what was going to cause me worthiness and so on and so forth. And so I went straight to meth my senior year of high school as the Associated Student Body President, started the first girls golf team, forgot to mention golf, was in a Christian rock band. I could go on and on.
And went to meth.
Went straight to meth and did that. And then by the age of 21 had been, sexually assaulted, eating disorders, diagnosed with depression, and was a full-blown drug addict and alcoholic and in rehab at 21. And that was all driving force because I wanted to be skinny. So in creating this brand, because prior to that, it was a program for teenage girls called Camp Confidence, because I wanted to teach them everything I wish we were taught in school, like how to be fucking happy, self-defense, how to shake a hand and say no and feel good about it. Because prior to that, my husband was the CEO of a national rugby team, and I had just come out of the industry, and I had a clip store on clips for sale, not clips for sale.
What are clips?
So clips.
What is clips for sale?
Yeah, it's not a real thing. So clips for sale, right?
You know that there is like not OnlyFans, OnlyFeet.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Oh, you really know more stuff.
I didn't know that.
I didn't
Only
know
because
either.
we interviewed a girl named Lacey who does OnlyFans, and she's like, yeah, feet are like a big
huge.
thing.
It's super huge.
And then she's the one that told me about the financial dominance of like people paying her $50 a day to send her a new dick pic every day from a different angle for her to shit on them about how ugly their dick is. And I was like,
wild.
That's wild. Somebody's giving you $1,500 a month to insult their dick. She's like, yeah, multiple people are.
It's absurd.
No, you know why they pay? Because at least they get respond. At least they get respond. Usually women ignoring dick pictures because it doesn't work on that. No, it doesn't work on that way. Like guy get the pussy pictures like, oh, I love it. We are like, what the fuck is fucking gross? So we delete.
Dicks are pretty gross.
And if they pay, can I get some response? Like,
yeah, I mean, I'd look at dick pics for money.
Right?
What do I care?
Fuck it.
I mean, market's slow right now. But
answer
anyway,
your question.
Yeah.
Clips for sale was like prior to OnlyFans. So you'd load video clips of all sorts of different fetishes. And one of the biggest ones is mixed wrestling, women and men wrestling. And so anyways, had content on there, nothing that was like topless even. It was like me, beating men arm wrestling and laughing at him because humiliation is a big thing. And then a reporter found that. And so guilt by association, they wrote a headline that said CEO hires ex-fetish porn star wife to train the under 20s because he brought me on to train the rugby 18s. And so this headline got syndicated around the world. I mean, it was New Zealand, India, Denmark, fucking all over. And I'm like, how is this news? Like, this is not, it's not true. Like, I'm not a porn star. Like, to me, porn star is taking dicks in the ass and all the rest of it. You know what I'm saying?
Traditional stuff.
Yeah. Like, I missed that paycheck. But anyway, go on. And I had applied with Big Brother, Big Sister the day before this story broke because I wanted to mentor a teenage girl. So all this shit blew up and the media just had a heyday with me. And then from there, I said, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to start my own program ran by people who've been there and done that. And that's where Camp Confidence came from. And then we did that for a few years, and it burnt me out working with these teenage girls because they're literally cutting themselves.
Yeah.
Cutting their fucking skin because they think they're ugly and disgusting, and they're 13, 14, 15. And I'm like, you're our future leaders. And I'd sit them down. I'd be like, look the fuck here. Like, have you ever heard of Malala, who got shot in the fucking head because she didn't want to get off the bus? You know, or watch the stoning of Soraya M., this woman who got accused of adultery, put in her wedding gown, buried up to her waist because her husband wanted a new fucking wife. And
stoned her to death.
Yeah, and her father is the first one to throw rocks at her, stoned her to death. Like, pull your head out of your ass. Like, let's like she's saying. You know what I mean? Like, we've lost our way. Like, what's become important and what we've fucking, like, social media has destroyed us. Great things have come. Look, 3 of us are sitting here.
Right.
We wouldn't have met without it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? There's pros and cons to everything in life, just like with everything that's going on around in every possible scenario in the world right now, I suppose. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a fine line we walk, but we would love to recruit more women to understand that you guys don't give a fuck what cellulite you see when we're bent over. You know what I'm saying? Because the shit that women sit and obsess about, it's really not an issue for the other half of the population. Right. And, you know, we get so stuck in this imprisonment of like not good enough. And it's like you could be training your body, training your mind, and knowing that whatever you hate about your body, go look up fucking saggy tits on Pornhub. You'll find pages and pages of it, of porn. Like people, whatever you hate about yourself, people are out there looking for it, you know? And that it's okay for men to come and to be on the other side of the coin, and you can still be, you know, be yourself and be comfortable in your own skin, and yet come and submit to a strong woman. Like, gender dynamics can be complicated, but they don't need to be that complicated.
I would say pretty complicated if a guy's paying to have their breath choked out of them by your thighs. So, like, I know you have girl power, and you're, I only bring this up because you're very, very vulnerable on your social media, that you guys have been looking for funding for girl power, and it's pissing you off. And you know you have this $1 million brand, and you just need some growth money. And so I've got to ask, like, with social media, OnlyFans, this kind of random shit that you guys do, is it carving out a living for you guys? Or is it like just some...
I just started like
Same.
a month ago.
Okay.
The OnlyFans.
Yeah. We both had it, but we weren't publicly advertising it.
Now I do it.
Now we're like, fuck it. And I think it's empowering.
This is what is me.
Yeah.
You know, and like Kortney said too, not everything was on our decision that we get here, but the life bring us to some experience and circumstances, so we landed here.
Yeah.
And we have to accept and love our past, our struggles, our traumas. And actually, I'm grateful for all of them that I become this, you know. And this is what it is. And from this, look what she built up. She has her huge brand, you know. She's a leader. She's inspiring so many people. She stand up for them, you know.
And I was your age when I started, so you're about to take off, baby girl. No, I'm like, fuck it, let's start an agency.
And look, or what? You go out, you see these people like, oh, they got a perfect life. No, they are all filtered.
Yeah, it's all full of shit.
They are all filtered. And they are weak and they are insecure because they just don't want to face with you who are they really are.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the other thing I like in session. When they are arriving, there is no filter. Everybody is sharing their deepest secret with us. So I also take it as a gift or a privilege that I'm the chosen one.
You're almost like a therapist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
That they are sharing with us, because lots of them they are holding it or hiding it from their wife because they feel guilty about that.
Yeah, and so many
they
women,
feel shame,
women
guilty.
don't understand. Like,
or the word that the woman won't understand.
Right,
yeah, or they think it's gross. Like I had a guy say, yeah, I just was trying to explain to my girlfriend, this was on a social media post, that I just wanted to roll around with her a bit in the bedroom and have her kind of dominate me. And she's like, ew, that's weird. Yeah. Just because of how our programming is.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
so... It's
there's this famous scene in that show The Sopranos where Tony Soprano, the mob boss, is talking to his therapist, and she's really intrigued. She's trying to understand. She's like, but I know you love your wife. You keep telling me that you love your wife, but you have this hooker, da-da-da-da. Like, what's the story? And I know you guys aren't prostitutes, but I'm just using this as a corollary. And he goes, look, of course I love my wife, but that's the mouth that kisses my children. I can't do the stuff I do to her, to my wife. Like, that's the mouth that kisses my children. I got to do the freaky shit over here with the weird person that I can't admit to my wife that I want to do to her, because that's the mother of my children. And I'm like, oh, we set up these weird dynamics where most marital couples, I do not think they are at all honest with each other about how they want their freak flag to fry.
I think if the people are more intelligent, they are more open-minded. They more can understand, and they are more honest. There are less filters. If you're looking at the elites, they are hiring dominatrixes, right? But they have probably a very supportive wife. So to being in marriage is not only about like, I'm blind and I'm not looking anything. They actually, it has to be about the support. Support the other about what is her desire, what is things make him or her complete to be herself, not like others people expecting from. Because then it's not you. It's not your life anymore. It's not your destiny. But you get accepted by the others. Mm-hmm. So now my relationship was always failed, but I'm being myself, and I'd rather be myself than to be somebody else. But I have a relationship, I can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair.
You know what I mean?
What are you looking for in a relationship?
Support and accepting and understanding, and I think on faith.
They don't have to bench like 410. They don't have to be super.
She does like a manly man, though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna train him or her up. It comes by time. We gotta work on it. But the personality, like what kind of soul they have, you can't change that.
Right. That is what it is.
And if you are very honest since the beginning, I think that start to ruin the relationship. They can have just the feeling that you're hiding something, like something is not okay. But if you are super honest, they always told me like they never met any more honest woman ever like me. But I'm like, this is what is me. Can you take it or not? Because I don't want to waste your time, and I also don't want you waste my time. So let's get in the in the soup in the beginning. I don't know how.
Yeah, when I went on my first date with my wife, I had been divorced, and then I had a bunch of shitty relationships in the course of a couple of years, mostly my fault. And I remember right before the date, I was like, "Fuck, man, this girl seems nice." I looked her up on social media. I'm like, she's like a nice girl. I'm like, let's just get it out of the way. I Googled this. There's like this article that's famous. It's like 21 questions you're not supposed to ask on the first date. So we sat down, and I was like, so you ever had an abortion?
Oh my God.
And she's like, what? And I was like, who'd you vote for in the last election? Ever been to jail?
It. And I was that's my man.
I know.
Right? You would love that.
And so we had dinner, and then we went out and sat at a bar for like 3 hours and answered every inappropriate question. I was like, well, this is either going to go great and I'm going to marry this girl, or it's fucked. This is going to be like the worst story of her life. And then 11 months later, we were married. Because I feel like part of it is we got it all out of the way on that first date.
That's what happened with Dave and I too, because we had our encounter, our session, and there was no like, oh, this might be my potential future husband, but I just let everything out. And so he knew everything from the get-go that I like to eat pussy, and it's not very often, but because my ex was like, no, you can't do that. Right. And that's like a part of yourself. You don't want to compromise. I mean, relationships are about compromise, but there are certain things you need to know that it's going to bother you if you do change that for that person. And then you end up holding a resentment. So you're absolutely right. Like, get it out from day one. I think you should fucking turn that into a thing. You should start a motherfucking dating course and have that. Here's your downloadable. It's a top funnel for you.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm serious.
Of all the things I am capable of coaching on, Dating is
That
not one
ain't
of them.
it.
Yeah, until I met my wife. Until I met my wife, I was a piece of shit. Like
Bless.
I was the habitual cheater. I was the one that was not honest up front with what I wanted, and then I would find it in somebody else.
I was smelly that was in the first minute. I can't smell it.
Yeah, you.
No, there's no with me. No.
So wait, what's I always try to think about like, okay, what listener or what friend of mine is listening to this and rolling their eyes and be like, ask the question, Scott, ask the question. So I got to ask, like you already mentioned, and thank you for being so forthcoming, like capital T trauma, right? Like a parent that was an alcoholic, the drug abuse, the sexual abuse. Hey, Chris, can you shut the garage door? Because the bugs are going bonkers. Just more proof we film in the garage. So like people would probably say like, oh, well.
Sounds like rolling thunder.
Yeah.
We got someone's ass to beat here pretty soon.
And
anyway.
that was the garage to close. So a lot of people would say like, oh, well, she's just that way because there was trauma. She's not normal. She doesn't have a normal relationship. Like people will point to that stuff. And because so few people are honest about the trauma they've encountered, as soon as you're honest about it, they're like, oh, well, that's why she's fucked up. She has trauma.
Absolutely not.
So it's like the person you are today, is there any amount of that that's like you're embarrassed by or you wish it was different or anything like that?
No, I mean, shit, my 350-page memoir, like, Chapter 7 was me going out to test for the California Highway Patrol, and the night before, I mean, I only had 2 months clean off meth, but I was so blacked out drunk, I took a shit in my friend's bathtub and then wiped my ass with his girlfriend's white robe. And threw it in the corner and like completely forgot about it until the next morning. And I literally thought the dog took a shit in their bathtub. Like, I'll write about that. And that comes from doing 12-step recovery. I've been clean and sober for 13 years consecutively. I've been at it since I was 21. I'm now 41. I don't look a day over 21. But
no, no chance.
But that's from not drinking, right? But when
so you've been completely sober for 13 years.
Yeah. And when you do 12-step work, you know, I've gone through choice leadership, EQ training, and you take different personal development courses and you work through your trauma and you look at that because so many people go through trauma and then they allow that to be their victim story. Yeah. And it's like, no, you become a victor. You walk through that shit, you become a stronger person. And these choices, which happened as a result after the trauma, you know, and it actually introduced me to the most amazing man I've ever met in my life, who has shown me the true definition of unconditional love. You know, like he would, even when it came to the slap fighting, he sat me down and he said, look, here's what happens to a brain when you head a soccer ball. Are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, I might be really good at it, you know? And he was supportive. He's like, I'm never going to tell you no. Yeah. And just at the end of the day, all he cares about is my happiness, but not in a simp way. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's a trip. So it's it's super interesting.
And by the way, like, I love hearing that working through the trauma in the 12-step because, you know, let's be honest, most men just dig it down deep inside and super crazy. And then all of a sudden, the most innocuous thing, they're putting their fist through a wall or they're hitting their wife or they're peeling off in the Camaro midlife crisis. Right. So it's great when you hear people working through shit that was shit.
Because it's like stress. I was just talking about this the other day, a coffee pot, right? You get up in the morning and you're like, fuck, I got to wait for the coffee. But it takes like 5 minutes, right? But it's just a drip, a drip, a drip. And that's how it is. We have all these notifications and all these little stressors nowadays. And it's like 10 times fucking worse than it was in the 60s or even the 80s, you know? And that all those little stressors is just a drip, a drip, a drip. And then you add in all that stuff we were talking about earlier about having to be the breadwinner, the strong one, the rock, and then you can't show emotion or be upset or fucking, you know, so it's like no doubt we're all so on edge, and then everything we've been through with COVID and what the fuck is in front of us now, don't get us started. Right. Because we both are like, yeah, what's coming? Yeah. What's coming?
You live in Florida now, right? Did you move there specifically because of the freedom and stuff, or was there just a job opportunity there?
I just miss the nature.
You miss what?
The nature.
You miss the nature in Florida? The fucking alligators?
Here. I used to live in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but you moved to Florida, right?
Yeah, I moved to Florida to Miami.
Why'd you move to Miami? More hot guys?
Huh? She's saying the water. The beach? Did you miss the beach?
You missed the beach.
Yeah, the beach.
I got you, baby. I got you, baby.
Hungarian translator.
Yes, that's right.
No, I just felt like I couldn't really improve here. I always feel drained. I couldn't even go to jogging outside. It's fucking dry heat.
It is really fucking dry.
I can't take this. And I grew up on the farm. I'm missing trees, so the first thing when I got in Florida was that I started cuddling with a tree, like, thank you.
So, I gotta ask the other question that everybody's gonna roll their eyes if I don't ask. Steroids, growth hormone, like you two are unnaturally.
Oh, they are my friend.
They are your friends.
I've done 2 cycles. I did
2 cycles in your entire life.
Yeah, 1 cycle in 2015. I did my first physique show, and then after she knocked me the fuck out.
You're like, I gotta get back on that horse.
Yeah, I got jacked. Yeah, I got on Primo, April 2022.
What is Primo?
Primo is
I don't have to explain.
yeah,
my
I don't
English.
either. I know. It's an androgen.
Okay.
But it's like one of the more less
One of
anabolic ones, I suppose.
Mild ones for
yeah,
women.
It's not like
Steroids for her.
You're right.
I love it.
And I mean, I took a shot of test in Bali once for my libido, and it was fucking great. We were fucking in the back of the Jeep. I was rubbing one out in the back of the cab. I'm like, dudes have got it good.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't had a libido since I was like in my late 20s. And, but aside from that, like if I got on test, because I'm an addict,
Yeah.
my concern was that I would morph into, because,
A
you know,
dude?
yes, you know, it's hard because you see women and you respect how much work goes into it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, you know, it just crosses that line of, and whatever, to each their own. They're happy, but it does destroy their health.
The
femininity.
the femininity.
Well, the
goes
femininity
away.
for
Yes.
sure, but also a lot of women die young, you know, as do men, you
Yeah.
know, and it causes a lot of problems, especially now with fucking the vaccine. And I encourage everybody listening to this to watch Died Suddenly if you have gotten the vaccine, just so you can be a little bit more motivated to take charge in your life and do something about your fitness. Stop drinking, stop smoking, because we are all being poisoned. They're trying to kill us every fucking direction we look. You're going to charge $14,000 for a Tylenol in the emergency room? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck our country for that.
The biggest tragedy of COVID to me was like, what an opportunity on a national stage for everybody to talk about everybody getting healthier.
Right.
Like, hey, yeah,
right.
okay, COVID's a real thing. It's killing weak people. It's killing the old people. Yeah. Maybe there needs to be a vaccine. Maybe there doesn't. But at a base level, just be
vitamin D.
Yeah,
get your fucking right.
metabolically healthier. Which is funny because I just asked you about steroids, so people are probably rolling their eyes. Oh, this bitch is on steroids. She's not healthy. But then you made a joke. You said steroids are my friend.
No, I mean, like, I'm not going to hide. I did.
Yeah.
Like, I was a bodybuilder in the past.
What were you at your biggest? Because I've seen some pictures of both of you where your thighs, I'm like, holy fuck, man. So what at your biggest, like, what were you weight wise or strength wise or?
So when I started bodybuilding, it was like 4 years ago, maybe my first competition, and I tried naturally first.
Yeah.
And I was training harder than any girls, you know, and I saw like I didn't get really placed. I was in the European Championship in IFBB, and I got from 9th place, and I was like, that's it?
Yeah.
Like, I was working and dieting my ass off.
That shit's so fucked up, though, girl.
And I get so competitive. Like, I want to get this. So then I was like, okay, but then let's change the category. I want to be wellness because they said I already too big for bikini, even I was muscular. So I thought, okay, let's take wellness. And that time I was working with a coach who now I know that his knowledge is like under the ground, you know, like it was nothing. And he put me right away. I didn't take much, like 3 or 4 week cycle. He started with the Winstrol. You know,
that's the heavy hitter shit.
Yes. So after 1 week, I already felt like I'm like, what the fuck is going on with me? And I'm like, I started more asking of my friends, and it's like, you know, do you start with that?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I'm very big and I feel bloated. I said, stop it right now. So I stopped there.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, Winstrol, from what I heard, it's like, oh, son, you're about to have your first drink. Let me give you a quadruple whiskey. I mean, it's the heavy hitter shit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was which I tried, and then after we just wait that it goes out, and then was like 4 months after that prep, I started take Anavar, and it's light.
Yeah, all the CrossFit
milligram.
girls take Anavar. Like, it's very low androgenic properties, so it's just really shitty for your liver.
And then I had another competition I was preparing for, and I couldn't take like strong steroids, even though I was focusing on the leg muscles, because if I take, I get strong on my upper body.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm naturally was strong always because of judo and wrestling, you know. So I just realized I'm not fitting any of categories because it's the girls. They just.
I hope
so
you go
weird.
into MMA. You're still
Now I'm
yeah,
training,
yes.
and I'm really long time.
Your
being
boobs are too
drunk.
big for MMA.
No, I can breast mother them.
Okay.
There you go. That's exactly right.
No, I'm training, and I'm really long time being like drug free now.
I mean, because judo makes so much sense as a crossover to MMA, right? Like if you can grab onto somebody, you're gonna throw them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now you just need to learn how to punch, and your wrestling is
Yes,
obviously good, so you got good
Now
control
I'm
there.
training in Miami in MMA Masters more than 2 months, and probably soon in this summertime, I'm looking forward for my first MMA fight.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Actually, as we speak, shout out to Ariel, who's been on the podcast a couple times. She was also, we had some very vulnerable conversations about her bulimia eating disorder. Then she went the other way and went bodybuilding because that was just another way of expressing her body dysmorphia and controlling every calorie that went in her body. Now, thankfully, she's addicted to something healthier, which is jiu-jitsu, and she has her first MMA fight, like, as we're talking. Like, Chris, you should look up Ariel and see if she won her first debut
awesome.
MMA
Good
fight.
for her.
Super excited for her because she's probably the toughest girl I've ever rolled with. Like, you have to snap her neck for her to tap. Like, she just won't tap.
Yep.
And so I can only imagine she's probably doing great in her fight. But what about you? What's the biggest, strongest, I don't care what dynamic.
That's like 188, 28-inch thighs. And now since I'm
28-inch thighs?
they're 25 inches now. I measure.
Fuck.
And that's just 5 days a week doing jujitsu.
You had 56 inches of thighs.
Yeah.
That's like, I have big legs, and
Yeah.
Chris, you're gonna have to go grab a measuring tape. I gotta know what my thighs are now. So you had
28-inch thighs, yeah.
and you were
like,
and how tall are you? 5'5", 5'6"?
5'6" and a half. 5'7"
I think
on
you're
a
trying
good
to sneak
day.
in half an inch
I
there.
did.
So yeah, so you're 5'6", 188, all muscle.
Yeah.
Like, just, I mean, you're even right now, your muscle tone is incredible.
Yeah, I'm like
so,
176, give or take.
so you're like shredded, probably another 20 pounds of
I
muscle.
eat super clean too. I'm on like an autoimmune protocol diet. So it's like paleo, but also a little bit more intense. So like no nightshade vegetables like tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants,
So what the
bell
fuck
peppers.
can you eat?
I know, right? A lot of coconut based stuff like chicken, meat. Because I did go vegan for a while too for the animals.
Yeah,
and
fuck
then I'm
the
like,
animals.
there's some shit going on with that too.
Yeah, fuck
I
the
have
animals.
What the fuck
sometimes,
is
like,
Bill Gates
2
doing?
weeks I can't eat meat.
Why?
I don't know. Just I don't feel good. It's like my body wants.
I mean,
to
but
detox.
if you don't eat meat, how do you get enough calories to sustain, your workout programs
Look, your
and just your
energy
mass?
coming from the carbs, not from really.
You know what's wild there? I watched a documentary, and I know we've got to get you to your next knockout. There's these guy. It was him specifically. He's like fucking 83, eats a banana every 3 days, out there shredding around playing soccer, but they gaze at the sun. They don't look directly at it, but like below it, and they take in the phytonutrients from gazing at the sun. It's literally like, it's a trip. Our
That's some weird
mind,
hippie shit.
it's fucking weird, like how we're born into this matrix, and
Yeah.
we're, our beliefs control everything. My favorite
Right.
quote:
I believe that.
whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right.
Right,
Henry
right.
Ford.
That's Henry Ford thing.
Think and
So
Grow
good.
Rich. You read that book,
And we
you're
don't
like,
need to
fuck.
eat that much.
That's true. So
Yeah.
wait, what do you got to get to tonight? You're knocking some guy out for money?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're about 20
I
minutes
got
late.
the work.
Amazing. Okay. So let's close it down. I always like to ask this question because I feel I'm a movie junkie and I feel like you can learn so much about people. What's your favorite movie and why?
That's a great question.
I like Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels? Because you like horrible cinema? Or
What?
Charlie's
No.
Angels is the worst movie ever made.
I like the song.
This is the first time
What?
I've insulted
Oh,
somebody's
wow.
movie choice. I usually am just like, oh yeah, I can see.
always
Original.
wanted- They are badass. Love that.
Come
They
in
are
here.
badass.
Yeah, they're badass, but that movie's. Did you watch the original Charlie's Angels show?
Maybe I saw that movie like 20 years
Okay.
ago. It's like I watched the Rocky again.
Oh, it's
And
amazing.
I'm like,
you were gonna throw up over Rocky?
no, he's amazing.
Oh, yeah, he's the
but
best.
the fight, I'm like, oh, it's like doesn't really look real.
No,
you
not
know?
at all. Not at all.
Like, I can tell it's a very old movie.
We need to find you a new favorite.
But the
movie.
motivational speech, I love that.
Yeah.
It's a forever favorite.
We need to find you a new favorite movie. Charlie's Angels is garbage. Or go back and watch the show from the 70s, 80s.
I like Bud Spencer.
What?
I can't even translate that
Bass
one for
Spencer?
Bud Spencer? Bud Spencer?
No idea.
you. Oh,
The big dude.
Vin Diesel.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Rock?
she's
Let me Google.
Okay, yeah.
while
you
she's
look.
looking up.
What's
I'll
your
tell
favorite
you,
movie and
Purple
why?
Rain.
Oh, it's so good.
I
And
mean-
by the way, why do you have a Prince tattoo on your arm, which is a badass tattoo?
And I've also got the symbol in between my shoulder blades. Like he was he's just such an inspiration to me. I played like 3 different instruments when I was younger before I started smoking meth.
Nice.
You know, and
That'll
him-
fuck you up.
Yeah, well, definitely. By a Christian rock band. It's been
Yeah.
real, Jesus. I got
Yeah.
to go.
Sorry.
Yeah, Motel 6 is calling. So, but yeah, it's just I'm hella ADD and like sitting. And what else is fucked up too is my short term memory is so shot. Like I know I've watched some really powerful movies,
Right.
and I sit here and I'm like, what was I doing an hour ago?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because of the programming of our phone. You know what I mean? Like we've become so like our brain chemistry.
Years of
is-
meth.
That'll do it too. And the perimenopause.
Yeah,
right?
I know. I for sure drank my IQ down like 15 points in the army.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
for sure, because
Yeah.
I was a power drinker every night for 3 years straight in the
Yeah.
army, and like I know for a fact I got dumber.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun.
So I feel like there's a way back.
Him, Carlo Pedrosi. Who the fuck?
Spencer.
Bud Spencer. I have no fucking clue who this is. I don't know who this Italian actor is. What movie was he in? Let's see. What the fuck? Well, let's see. Let's see what movie. There we go. Bud Spencer movies. Oh yeah, this is some weird Hungarian shit. Americans have never seen. Americans have literally never seen any of those movies, and I've seen a lot of movies.
Okay, I need comments.
Okay,
Guys,
well,
please comment. Think
We're
of
we're
this.
gonna we're gonna need to find you like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Conan the Barbarian seems like very much.
Oh, I
up your
like
alley.
Jackie Chan too.
Yeah, Jackie
Yeah.
Chan's pretty awesome. All
Richard
right.
Norton's. the
I was
favorite.
love it. I had
Yeah.
a crush on Jackie Chan.
Yeah, you did. He's way shorter and tinier than you. He's a small
I
man.
didn't say I still have a crush on you.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, hey, listen. I know you guys got to get to your gig.
Yes.
That's crazy that you guys are doing one together the night that we scheduled the podcast. I appreciate both of you being on, and I would love to have you back on. Whatever your next venture is, whether it's crushing watermelons, MMA fighting,
Teaching your wife how to choke you out.
Yeah,
Just saying.
I mean, I might be down. That might be interesting for my wife.
Yeah.
So you guys can go on a girls' date. You can talk about whatever the fuck you want.
Word.
But yeah, let's do this again.
Thank
soon.
you for
So much
having
fun.
us.
Thank
It's been
you.
awesome.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Love you more.